Hey, this is Michael Emery. Thanks for tuning into the Slow Baja. This podcast is powered by Tequila Fortaleza, handmade in small batches and hands down my favorite tequila.
You know, I've long said it. Ask your doctor if Baja is right for you. Well, I want to say hearty thanks to all those folks who are coming on the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition. They got the okay from their doctor, and they're going to have a great time exploring Baja Norte with me.
Hey folks, Selfie Stand Up here from Slow Baja HQ. Breaking news. Over the Labor Day weekend, we had an entry transfer from the 2023 Slow Baja Vintage to the 2024 event. So if you've been hankering on going with us, now is your time. Do not delay. Hit me up. Use the contact button at slowbaja.com. If you've got something 1993 and older or something that looks like a 1993, I'd love to have you join the fun and come to Baja with us October 15th through the 20th. San Felipe to San Felipe. One night in a hotel on either side. 4 nights under the stars with chef-prepared meals. Cerveceria Transpeninsular when we get into camp, and probably a little tequila Fortaleza by the campfire. So if this sounds like a little bit of the way you'd like to experience Slow Baja, don't delay. Hit me up right now.
So if you want to get in on the 2024 Slow Baja Vintage, this time in Baja Sur, you got to check out the Adventures tab at slowbaja.com. And if you have a newer rig, and a lot of folks did inquire with newer rigs, and you want a winter getaway, the Slow Baja Rally is February 23rd to March 3rd. It's a slow roll from San Diego down to Loreto and back, about 10 days long. We're going to have a couple of nights laying over in Loreto. I've got some ready-made adventures for you there. If you want to get off on a one-day mule packing trip, or if the weather's good and you want to get out on the water, we're going to have a one-day water adventure. There's also going to be a one-day volunteer project for folks who might want to do that. And if you got some stuff that you need to address on your rig, well, we're going to have some hand-selected Slow Baja approved mechanics, whether you need a welder or a tire shop or a mechanic transmission, whatever it is, we're going to have those resources for you. So it's going to be easy for you to get whatever you need addressed. You know, it's not the longest or the largest or the most miles. It's the slowest and the best miles, and hopefully the most smiles. All right, for more information, check it out. It's a Slow Baja Rally at slowbaja.com/adventures. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You can always reach me through the contact link at slowbaja.com. Once again, that's February 23rd through March 3rd, 2024, the Slow Baja Rally. Hey, hello. Thanks for tuning in to the Slow Baja. My heaping dose of gratitude goes out to Kurt Williams. I think you've heard that name before. I've mentioned him. Kurt runs Cruiser Outfitters in Salt Lake City, and I was in Salt Lake City this past weekend for the Cruiser Fest, and Kurt was kind enough to make me his +1 for the pre-event VIP dinner at the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum. If you dig old Land Cruisers and old Toyotas like I do, the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum is a must see. It is Slow Baja approved. Greg Miller has an incredible collection of Land Cruisers, and I hope that one day they'll make a spot for old Slow Baja. When I'm ready to retire, I hope they can just make one indoor, of course, parking spot in the museum for Slow Baja, and her work can be honored there for eternity. All right, well, today's show is with Nathan Stuart and Brandon Thomason. I've told you a little bit about Nathan before, shouted him out. He was our guide when we did the second half of the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition pre-running. We hired Nathan. He was just absolutely fantastic. He runs Legends Overlanding. He's going to be running logistics and the chef team for the Slow Baja Vintage. And Brandon Thomason runs TopoTerra. And I don't think I've told you about TopoTerra before, but TopoTerra specializes in off-grid vehicle and camping rentals. They've got a bevy of beautiful Baja-ready rigs, whether you need a big old Dodge Ram pickup or Toyota Tacoma or Toyota Tundra or Revel vans. TopoTerra has you covered. And the beauty of these two, between Nathan Stewart's knowledge and guiding services and Brandon's top-notch equipment, you can go anywhere. You put those two together, you can go anywhere. So if you're interested in doing a Baja drive, Brandon can rent you the gear and Nathan can show you where to go. And that's what we're going to talk about today on Slow Baja. I don't know if I've ever done a podcast with a dog helping out. Kaya, nice to see you again. We ran into Kaya. I think I sat down next to Kaya at Nathan. Was that your your show, your lecture on police and border crossings?
Yes.
Overland
at
Expo.
Expo.
Cops and cowboys at the expo.
Cops and Cowboys at Overland Expo, and I sat down next to this beautiful dog, Kaya. All right, well, I think audio levels are good.
Yep. Does that sound good?
You guys got your thinking caps on?
Nope.
I try not to think, otherwise it doesn't work. Just gotta wing it.
Wing it.
I asked Nathan if you were sending us questions. I was like, you know what? Never mind. That's just gonna make it worse.
Meaning of life,
All
couple
right.
things like that.
Brandon, you're going to have to control your exuberance, or you're going to blow everybody's eardrums out as they listen. You know, they're zoned into my tequila and dust voice, and if you blow it up with your DJ voice,
that might be a problem then.
What do you?
I'll do my best.
You try and keep it at like 12, right?
I'm just trying to make it sound good. That's all.
So like it's going up to 8 decibels.
Oh,
I don't. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you're bouncing at 12 there. You're good.
Drop
you sound
it a little
perfect.
bit because we're gonna get happier than that. Like we're acting like this, but we're not gonna be in a minute. I'd keep us at 6 and we'll hit 12.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
We can turn it up. You can't turn it down once it pings.
Is this live or do you edit it?
No,
after?
This is live. This is going to the interweb right now.
Hey man, you never know these days.
Hey, it's Slow Baja, and we've got a travel talk today with Nathan Stuart of Legends Overlanding and Brandon Thomason of TopoTerra and Kaya. Hello, Kaya. You want to say hello? We're doing a podcast with my good old friend Kaya from the Overland Expo, who I sat down next to during Nathan Stewart's lectures on, what was the subject? Cops and Cowboys?
Cops and Cowboys. Cops, Cowboys, and I think I had another catchphrase to try to draw them in.
Well, we just had a fabulous week in Baja. Nathan was our guide. All guides have guides.
All guides have guides.
All guides have guides.
Any guide that tells you he doesn't have a guide is you're getting served a line.
You got to go with the local knowledge. And Nathan was a guide. We did 1,100 miles or so in 5-ish days, and found some really phenomenal routes, scouting for the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition and the Speed Deluxe Baja Expedition. And off the mic here is Adam Speard, who is my partner in that endeavor, and we are excited for that event.
Because Adam, did he get kicked out because of something he did, or did we just not have another mic?
No, we have another mic. Adam and I are going to talk about what we're doing next.
Sorry, Adam.
In another podcast. We're going back to back.
He's a big enough guy, he can come over and take the mic away from me if he needs to.
What we learned about Adam on this trip is rocks, but we're not going to talk about rocks. No, honestly, hey, we had a great trip, and the newfound adoration I have for Raptors is real. I'm just going to say that.
Until you have to replace the engine.
Crafters are amazing vehicles.
But the reason we're here today is you guys I met at Overland Expo when I was sitting down to listen to about how I should approach police officers and border crossings and military checkpoints and all that in Baja, and trying to learn a little something. Sat down next to this beautiful brindle boxer, Kaya, and happened to meet a guy who I've been admiring through the internet for quite a while, Brandon, and you've got this amazing company, TopoTerra, where you rent out these really tricked out, fully built out overland trucks.
Yep, that's what we do. Unfortunately, we build them way too crazy, so we don't make any money. But it's great for the customers. You know, we've got I think 8 rigs now here in San Diego, and then another 3 in our Colorado location, and plan to keep on growing.
How did you sort that out? Why did you say, like, this is what I'm going to do? Provide this astonishing service for folks.
Well, I sold a previous business and wasn't doing a whole lot, so I got involved in the RV rental industry with a handful of RVs and kind of learned the ins and outs of the rental industry. And I saw overlanding kind of getting more and more popular, and decided to give it a shot. So we bought one truck, put a rack and a tent on it, and it started going pretty well. And you know, kind of just one thing led to another, and I've just kind of slowly grown it. Still just a side business, but we're hoping eventually that it can potentially become the full-time business, but we're not there yet.
Well, you guys have more or less teamed up, if I'm correct in my assessment.
Yep.
That basically, if I want to describe this correctly, somebody can come to San Diego, rent a fully kitted truck from you, Brandon. I'm pointing to Brandon here in the in the podcast land, and Nathan, you can then guide them on a phenomenal voyage that of the sort we just took. Obviously, you'll have the routes pre-planned and the chef hired and the campsites fully dialed. We were scouting on this trip, so it won't be exactly. But that's quite a duo. That's quite a combo to actually know that your trucks are going to be looked after properly.
Yep.
Or at least have a chaperone for them.
Yep.
And for you to be able to have folks have this major league adventure in a vehicle that, you know, if they're thinking about, hey, I'd really love to get into this overlanding thing, they don't have to go put I'm going to take a stab in it, the $85,000 or $100,000 it takes to build one of these things.
Yeah, you're right about there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing, but that's amazing. So how did you two get started working together?
For me, it was.
This is Nathan here. We didn't go for the full introductions.
Yes,
we didn't catch the
this is
voice. Nathan.
It's pretty amazing. Well, when I started doing guided trips down in Baja, I was, you know, I'm not for a Southern California guy that's been coming to Baja his whole life. A lot of guys are fine on their own going to Baja, and they've been doing it forever, and they got a ton of experience doing it. But people that are coming from further away, back east or Europe or something like that, that don't know the ropes and it's their first time in Baja, them coming out and me being able to guide them through getting across the border and everything that is northern Baja, central Baja, having a vehicle they can rent, get off the airport and get out of the airport and rent from Brandon and then come down with me, it's perfect, because I was concerned about the fact that, like, my reach was only people, for the most part, that would drive their vehicle down. Well, I mean, it's not going to go much further than maybe Texas. There's been some crazy people that came from Florida and New York, but usually they ship their vehicles and stuff like that. But usually they're in this area. So having Brandon opens me up to the world. So anywhere in the world can fly into San Diego and be in Baja in a day. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think we solve a need for each other, right? Nathan doesn't have vehicles. I have vehicles, and a lot of our customers wanted and asked about, you know, different experiences and guided trips and food and all of that stuff. And we just weren't in a position to be able to offer that at the time. And so when we stumbled across each other's businesses, it was a mutually synergistic partnership. And, you know, Nathan's modest, you know, his trips are very experiential, and everything you get from start to finish is a really, really good experience. And so even if you are somebody that's been going to Baja your whole life, there's still something to be said about going on one of Nathan's trips, right? Every detail is planned out and thought out meticulously, you know, from the route to the activities to the food and all of that. And it's a really good experience for people. So.
Yeah, I can attest. After bouncing around Baja for nearly 40 years, 40 years next year, I learned a lot, saw a lot, and did it with a level of comfort that I am not accustomed to. And I'm hoping that when I get back in my Shielmans and my old FJ40, I'm not going to be fully spoiled. But Nathan really does know his.
The 40's not going to help you, but the Shielman will.
Yeah, and Nathan really does know his stuff.
Shielman is a seat, by
yes,
the way. I'm
those
sure most of your listeners know Shielman.
I hope so. Nathan, can we talk a little bit about your background and how you ended up finding yourself guiding tours in Baja? Because I think your backstory is kind of interesting.
Okay, I moved to Mexico when I was 18. I came down with a youth group from a Central Coast church. It was a humanitarian trip to go build homes for the poor in Ensenada, and didn't really have a lot of interest in Mexico. I got to do the politically correct version right on this story.
You can say whatever you like. We edit.
No, you don't do that.
Yeah. It might be a very short
You've been
podcast,
riding around with me a
but
truck for a week. You know better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I fell in love with Ensenada. I fell in love with Mexico, the food, the surf. And so I stayed. So from 18 to...
Hang on for just a second, because I know a little bit of this story because of the week we just spent together. But basically, after your service trip building these homes, everybody goes home, and you just decide you're staying.
Yeah.
Wait, you literally just stayed?
Stayed. I did stay. Yeah.
So
I didn't
stay.
I didn't stay like 11 years from that trip. But like we came down for a summer missions trip. Everybody went home that week, and I finished out the season. So I finished out 2 months in Ensenada at the base. Just volunteered, did whatever. It was built homes all summer, and then went home. Worked a winter, and the following summer I was 18 and I was driving to Ensenada in a 86 4Runner, listening to Santana and smoking a Cuban, because I thought Santana was Mexican music. Turns out it's not.
Wait, what?
Yeah, continued to be proven wrong.
Shout out Carlos Santana. I just saw you in Chicago a couple weeks ago. You can still bring it at 75 years old, yeah, Carlos Santana.
He still plays in Tijuana. I don't know when the last time, but I know he's been down there playing. He's from Tijuana, right?
I don't know. I thought he was from San Francisco.
Maybe. I thought he was from Tijuana. Somebody fact check us.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Dun, 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 dun,
no, pick it up. So you stayed?
I stayed, worked with Youth with a Mission, was an organization, worked with them for 6 years, met my wife, and I got out of the ministry and started doing almost anything to stay in Mexico and have, make a living. So I did real estate. I was a surf guide. I was a paper pusher in government offices. I was already speaking Spanish at the time because I'd gone to Guadalajara for a year to learn the language. And then in 2011, 12, I worked in the wine industry for quite a few years in Valle Guadalupe. Worked for Hugo da Costa and worked at La Escuelita and Casa de Piedra and several other wineries in the area, Cinco Estrellas, and got to know kind of not the beginnings, but the young beginnings, I guess, of Valle Guadalupe, because there was beginnings in the 80s of international wines being made there, but I kind of came in when there was like all these young guns coming up that are now rock stars in Valle Guadalupe, and it was an amazing community, still is a very tight community of people. Loved all that. And then working in the wine industry in Valle Guadalupe, 2011, 12, I think, I moved back to the Central Coast of California with my ex-wife now at the time, or ex-wife now.
Your wife at the time.
And then I worked up in Central Coast in the wine industry for another 11 years. I was ranch managing and doing a bunch of stuff there. And then I worked at Tablas Creek, which is an amazing winery. If you haven't been to Tablas Creek and Paso Robles, they're the most incredible people. And whatever you're hearing in the front of that winery, it's cooler than what they're saying, which I would say is not true for most places. So they always tell a story and it's about half as good as what they say. I would say the story is so good that they can't keep up with it in the front of that tasting room.
Now, hang on.
Okay.
You were a shepherd.
Yeah.
You ran
I was a shepherd
I just don't get to meet enough shepherds in my life. I mean, I know I'm doing my show, I'm getting around, I'm meeting a lot of people, but dang, when was the last time I met a shepherd? I cannot tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, don't spend too much time on YouTube. I was in the wine industry in Valle Guadalupe. I watched some YouTube video of some guys running sheep in a vineyard in, I think it was up in Canada. I called a guy, I'm not going to remember his name right now, but that was running sheep in vineyards and cattle in vineyards and trying out some grazing in vineyard stuff. And if he hears this, he's going to be mad because he's a good guy and I'm a good friend.
No, but this is basically weed control inside.
It's just weed control in the vineyard.
Weed control inside of a vineyard. And
so what inspired me to do weed control in vineyard is Casa de Piedra, which is very famous winery in Valle Guadalupe, owned by Hugo da Costa. I don't know, I think they've replanted some stuff, but they had a vineyard of Chardonnay that was planted so close you couldn't run a tractor through it. So they have what we call crabgrass growing in that vineyard, and we would hoe it all by hand, and we would finish hoeing and we would just start again because it would have grown back before we even finished. And I was like, this is insane. We can't do this. And I heard about sheep grazing in vineyards, and I'm like, my back wants sheep to do this. And it took a gringo that didn't have strong enough back to dream of that. And so nobody wanted to do it in Valle Guadalupe at the time. Now there's a bunch of people running sheep in Valle Guadalupe, which is cool. And moved back to Paso, started running sheep in vineyards there, and eventually was running sheep at Tablas Creek before I moved back down here in 2011. I got divorced right before COVID, and I was ready to come back to Baja. I'd always been ready to come back to Baja. So opportunity came up. Nathan Mueller, who is my partner, he has a YouTube channel and does a lot of overlanding stuff. And he'd been down on trips with me before, and he was like, man, we should do something in Baja. And so we started Legends Overlanding, and it's been...
The rest is history.
The rest is going to be history.
Brandon, before you jump in here, Nathan, can you tell me what exactly Legends Overlanding does? Because I will admit, honestly, I've put you on a pedestal as a tour operator that just operates.
Isn't Instagram amazing at putting the illusion?
I mean, I hate to say it, but I did really say this guy is operating in a class by himself in a league of his own, and now teamed up with TopoTerra and getting these great rigs. It's really astonishing, frankly, that somebody knows what they're doing, cares about how they're doing it, has access to equipment that is absolutely top notch, and literally can go almost anywhere within reason. Mm-hmm. It opens up this incredible opportunity for folks to have a world-class vacation doing something that's kind of, has been nitty gritty, come up hard, wreck your vehicle, do a bunch of dumb stuff when you're young, and keep refining, keep making it more comfortable. But where did you decide that you were doing East African safari style experiences, or now maybe South African safari style experiences with portable tents, portable, bathrooms, portable showers, all this stuff, a chef sourcing things locally. I mean, it's just mind blowing that you're putting that level of effort into showing people Baja.
Yeah. I think there's one of the things we saw was that there's already a bunch of people doing it really well as far as like come down, race really fast through Baja, get the tacos, crush some beers, and get out. And what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico kind of mentality. And because
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's a place for that, and there's a bunch of people already doing that really well. And I didn't want to do that. So having been in the wine industry, I kind of turned into a foodie. Ensenada's an amazing place for food.
Insane.
It's really, I don't know. I might be ignorant, but I'm pretty sure it's not comparable to anything on the West Coast at this point. It's amazing food.
Can I just trouble you to tell me about what you ate for breakfast this morning at Escama?
I had queso birria de pescado. It was a fish cheese taco.
It's birria made of fish.
Yeah, birria made of fish with the sauce.
With cheese in a taco like it's street food.
Yeah.
And it was off the hook. It was amazing.
French toast that was like 3 inches thick.
Yeah, you forced a half a taco on me, and it really truly was an amazing
and
experience.
that breakfast was Escama, and that was 180 pesos for breakfast. So
$12
$12 per person,
something like that. Yeah.
But it looks like it was a $35 breakfast.
And we had really fancy coffees.
Yeah, we had
cortados. Yeah. Those cortados
spoiled us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the fact that I was in the wine industry and already kind of exposed to really fine dining, and I never liked cooking, camping. I always just bring dried stuff, and I just didn't really like messing with it. I was always motivated to get a chef that could cook for me. So we started looking into getting a local chef in Ensenada, and we found Alex Burgos, who's works for us, and he's amazing, young, talented chef. Went to the university in Ensenada for culinary arts, and we've had a lot of amazing meals in really, really remote places in Baja, and I get a kick out of it, getting the food as locally sourced, as incredible as it can be, like paired with amazing local wines in really remote places. I'm going to continue to push that envelope probably forever. I love it.
And he seems to take that role rather seriously. I mean, he's into it.
He is.
He is into it. He has a pride and wants to show what he can create in these remote locations with these phenomenal ingredients that he's sourcing by, sometimes diving for them himself, or, finding for the best of the local markets. It's amazing.
Yeah. And he enjoys the traveling. He enjoys camping. He enjoys remote places and seeing new places. And then he gets really excited about sourcing stuff locally wherever we go. And that's really important to me, because I feel like it makes your experience camping in Baja. There's the visual element, there's the feel, there's the smells, and there's also the taste. You get to taste the places that you're going to. Our meat is going to be locally sourced. The fish is oysters are going to be pulled out of the water the day we eat them from where we are. Making all that effort to where you really get that fresh ingredient. It's just makes it three-dimensional.
Yeah, it makes it next level.
Yeah.
Brandon, can you jump in and just run through your inventory of what is available for your clients?
Yeah, so here in San Diego, we have 3 Toyota Tacomas, one of which has a Go Fast camper on it, and then another that has an Alucab camper on it. And then the third one is our new 2023 TRD Pro, and we went with a newer company called Gaia Camper for that one to test out. Then we have 2 Ram Power Wagons, both with Go Fast campers on them. And then we have a Toyota Tundra that's kind of one of our more simpler builds, let's call it. So it's got a shell on it and some racks, and then an Alucab tent, not the full camper, just the tent. And then we have 2 Winnebago Revel camper vans as well. Is that 8? Yeah, so that's the 8 we have here in San Diego. And then in Colorado, we just opened up our Colorado location. We tested it out last summer with 1 vehicle, and then this year, this summer we launched with a camper van, a Toyota Tacoma, and then a trailer for people. And then we're going to keep building that location up as well.
And of course, your clients are not always going to Baja with Nathan.
No, but so Baja from from October through March, April is really busy for Baja for us. So I would say it's probably 60 to 70% of our rentals during that time frame. And then the rest of the year, we've got people that are kind of going all over the country, we get one of our Tacomas is leaving for 90 days on Sunday. So a guy's flying in from Europe and bringing his 2 big dogs and just doing a sabbatical for 90 days. One of the other one leaves tomorrow for 30 days. They're doing kind of a Utah and Colorado loop back to California. And then we get the local people, especially during the winter time and fall and spring, Joshua Tree, all that kind of stuff. Local desert, Anza Borrego, all those things. But a lot of our summer clientele is coming from out of the country. So this summer it picked back up again. Obviously during COVID, people weren't traveling as much from out of the country. We did get pretty busy during COVID once things were opened back up, with a lot of local travel. And then now this year is when all of the people coming from out of the country are coming back. So that's good for us.
You've got some pent up demand.
Yeah. People from out of the country really enjoy this stuff as well. We get a lot of people from Canada, a lot of people from the UK, a couple people from Australia. we just had a guy fly in for his 50th birthday from Dubai with 10 of his best friends, and we delivered 4 trucks to Las Vegas for them. And then they did a whole 2,500 mile loop all the way to Colorado and back, and did White Rim Trail and a bunch of other stuff. And then we picked the trucks back up in Vegas. So kind of a lot of different customers for this.
It kind of seems like this overlanding thing might be here to stay for a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, you know. I think we try to educate people on, you know, leave no trace and being responsible and making sure that they don't ruin things for the future. So we try to educate people on that as much as we can. Luckily, there's been no issues with any of our vehicles so far. And I try to do a pretty good job vetting people, not only to protect our vehicles, but to make sure they're the right customer for us. We don't like people to go out and do dumb stuff in our vehicles.
Yeah, they're wrapped. Your name's on the door.
Well, not all of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I keep the branding pretty minimal on them.
So you're saying you're not going to buy a Raptor for the fleet?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, with my name, Slow Baja, painted in large letters on both sides of my truck, I have to always, you know,
Yeah.
be thoughtful in my
Yeah.
approach, which, you know, it's not hard for me. That's where I live. I'm living the brand.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as some of the people that have giant "Rent Me" stickers all over their vehicles. You'll
That's
never
brutal.
see that with
Brutal.
TopoTerra. But hey, to each their own, right?
Are you a bit of a gear geek at heart?
A gear geek?
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're sourcing a different stuff, and you're able to really test, you know, whether you like the Go Fast camper or the Aluma cab. Let me get it right. Alu cab.
Yeah.
I just said Aluma cab. Alu cab and Go Fast, and now you've got a Gaia. You're really able to sort these things. What are people doing inside the truck? What have you set up for inside? It's pretty complete, I understand.
Yeah, so most of the trucks have decked storage systems in there just to keep it simple, and nice pull-out drawers. And then we stocked all the vehicles with an exorbitant amount of gear. So our kind of thing is you show up with your food and your clothes, and that's really all you need. And then of course we have, you know, additional items like Starlink and paddle boards and Garmin stuff, and, you know, all the extra things. But for the most part, you know, you just show up with your food and your clothes and you're good to go. So we have kind of an all-inclusive price that includes all the gear. We didn't used to do it that way. But, you know, we found that as people are coming from out of the country, it's just, there's more and more people wanting things. And so I like to just keep the trucks, you know, clean and stocked. And then when they need to go, they're ready to go. So, and then I don't have to pack all my stuff every time I want to go camp either. They're just there and ready. So.
What have you learned over the years as far as
not to do this business? No, I say that, I joke about that all the time. I mean, it's an interesting business. You know, it's got its ups and downs, and, you know, obviously the vehicles are getting used, and there's a lot of wear and tear on them, and so it's been challenging navigating that and just figuring out the right pricing that makes sense for people to pay, but that also makes sense for us as a business. You know, I go above and beyond with the campers, like you mentioned earlier, and I didn't start that way. We started with more basic builds, but I'm trying to really build a brand and provide an experience that people are going to remember and come back to. And plus I like all the different things. So I've always had multiple vehicles ever since I was in high school, and I just like having a little bit of everything, you know? And then I keep the camper variety different, because if somebody wants to buy one of these campers, they're very expensive, or some of them are very expensive. And so we try to be a place where people can come try the campers out before they buy them as well, you know?
I'm still marveling at again the approach, the expenditure, the thoroughness, and the willingness to put these things together and then turn them over. I mean, you're honestly, in my opinion, the kindest sense of the word, you're a little bit of a dream maker making this stuff happen.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, is like every customer. I mean,
he says with like an eye roll. Like, yeah,
and I'm laughing over here. I mean, we've had a couple questionable customers, and that's about it, right?
Okay.
Everyone is like.
So your vetting has worked for the most
yeah,
part.
I do vet, especially for
vet.
Baja. I try to vet. I say no to business, you know, every once in a while. And if I don't get the right feeling from somebody, and it's not that we're being judgmental, it's just that,
No.
you know, it's a very expensive vehicle and you're going into the middle of nowhere usually. And we just want people that are going to not only take care of our vehicles, but take care of themselves and make sure they're putting themselves in positions that, you know, they're going to be safe and whatnot. Right.
Yeah.
And you know, you kind of have to disconnect from the vehicles a bit, which was hard to learn in the beginning. I learned that with my RVs and those rentals because they got damaged all the time. And the first couple times it happened, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this, you know, and you're all bummed out about it. And then eventually you disconnect from it and just realize that it is a business and they're business assets. And do I enjoy when they get damaged? No, but it's part of the deal. And
You've realized that it happens.
Yeah,
And
we do the best
yeah.
we can. We put things in place and, you know, insurance and all of those things. And luckily we haven't had too many crazy things yet. So,
Well, with your mention of insurance, we're going to take a quick break so that we can put in a good word for our friends Baja Bound, who are at the Baja Beach Bash right now. But we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Here at Slow Baja, we can't wait to drive our old Land Cruiser south of the border. And when we go, we'll be going with Baja Bound Insurance. Their website's fast and easy to use. Check them out at bajabound.com. That's bajabound.com, serving Mexico travelers since 1994. Big thanks to my new sponsor, Nomad Wheels. They stepped up and sponsored the Slow Baja Safari class at the Nora Mexican 1000, and I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but Slow Baja is running a set of 501 convoys in utility gray, and they look pretty damn sharp. They were a little shiny. I will admit that. They were a little shiny when I got them installed at Basil's garage just before the Nora Mexican 1000, but after, 3,800 miles of Baja dirt, they look perfect. They really do. NomadWheels.com. That's right. Check them out. Reflecting a minimalist approach to off-road travel. NomadWheels.com. Hey, we're back. Brandon Thomason. I'm just laughing at myself, my short-term memory issues. We're back with Brandon Thomason and TopoTerra and Nathan Stuart from Legends Overlanding. We're talking about this great duo that Brandon can rent you the right vehicle and Nathan can put you in the right spot, and it can make for an amazing vacation. Before we took the break, Brandon was talking about the things that can sometimes go awry, and you know, people follow their GPS. You know, things look like a road.
and sometimes it takes you in the wrong spot.
Yeah, and you know, we were working hard finding a new route. We had looked at it on the map. It wasn't on the map. At my friends at Benchmark Maps, the route we took was not on the map, so that's there for a reason. But
That's the goal.
But it was in the old Baja Almanac, had some little dotted line in there. So we thought, well, you know, we've got the Benchmark map in paper. We've got the Benchmark app on the phone. We've got the Baja Almanac on the phone. And we've got, you're running Gaia, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and so some crazy son of a ran that trail. And he did public track, which this is a word to everybody on Gaia. Turn off your public tracks, because I will use them. Turn them off.
And honestly, you know, we did not have a formalized agreement with liabilities assigned, but I thought I could end up buying a Raptor on this trip because the Raptor was for sale. And luckily we had Big Adam over here stacking rocks, and Adam loves rocks, so it was great. It was a great fit for him. It was 106 degrees. He's a big strapping guy. And Nathan loves rocks too, so the two of them were out there playing with the rocks, moving rocks around
under my wing.
Because
what
it looked like was a road from space, but what it turned out to be was a creek.
It was more creek than road, for sure.
It was a rocky creek.
So it was a rocky creek, yeah.
That was only an inch wider than a Raptor.
Yeah,
in many places.
Sounds like I missed out.
Yeah, you would have. The sound of scratching was constant and real.
Yeah, you had to get very close to the shrubbery on the edge of the creek.
Yeah, I've got some Palo Verde scratches
on
down the side.
your gray truck.
Gray truck, yeah.
We got into San Felipe, and the security guard at the hotel was asking you the color of your deep maroon truck so he could write it down on his report. And he said, "Gris, your truck is gray."
Like, no, dude, it's not gray at all. What? Look again.
He was on the Tecades.
No,
I don't know what he was on.
It was
But I
the
told
amount
him he
of
needs to
dust
go
that I
see
think was on our
yeah.
truck.
doctor because it was not right.
Yeah.
I think it was. Remember you? It was gray before. Did he remember you from before?
No, I've never met the guy. It was dark out, but it didn't look gray at all. I don't get that.
No, I think it was the dust.
Yeah.
So getting back to you, Nathan, and we're going to get past your work as a shepherd, but you did shepherd us. You really did shepherd us onto some pretty phenomenal roads that, I mean, we needed to nail this trip.
Mm-hmm.
We had pre-run this thing before in May and worked a lot of pages of that benchmark map and just hadn't gotten it all dialed 100%. And you got us there. And you're kind of insane about this stuff. You're obsessive about this. You're driven in the kindest sense of the word. You're driven. Like, you can't stop looking.
Yeah.
Goat trail, single track. You know, where does that dirt road go? We turned down a lot of dirt roads, got to a locked gate or whatever. But if we saw it, A, you were making note of it. B, you were marking it on your guide. C, sometimes we were physically driving down it. And that's the kind of stuff that you hear from these racers who started racing Baja in the 60s.
Yeah.
Then when they'd fly back from a race in their, in a little tiny plane, they're flying over these roads and sort of drawing them and trying to figure out, to make a note to come back. I got to come back to this place.
Bit by the bug.
Yeah, you can't stop and you can't hide it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your rock thing.
The rock thing has gotten, I'm blaming it on Vanessa and Bahia. She's got me obsessed with rocks now.
The only thing worse that you're obsessed about is shooting content.
Shooting content, rocks, and then roads. I don't know where they go. It's definitely, yeah, we went down some really cool roads that there's just those parts of the map that you don't have any tracks on haunt you all the time. And you're like, that could be the next amazing spot that I haven't seen. And if I ever see a post on Baja on Instagram and I don't know where it is, it really, really bothers me. And I'll call in like friends and be like, where is this? I can't tell.
And so Adam, seeing one of your posts recently, he sent it to me immediately. He says, where is this?
Yeah. I enjoy exploring Baja, and I'm
Do you think
I'm
that's in
42
your?
and I'm too late.
Yeah. Let me
than I'll ever see.
Let me interrupt. Do you think that's in your DNA? I mean, your mother and father were both adventurous explorers. Your father, mountain climber, snow guy. I mean, maybe you can talk a little bit about where you came from and where your DNA comes from as far as the exploration thing is real.
Yeah. My father was, he did, I think it was Summit Expeditions, was in the Sierras. He used to guide trips, group trips backpacking in the Sierras, and we do that every summer. And so I remember when I was little, we'd go up and stay all summer in the Sierras, and he would do these guided trips. And I was hanging out with washed up 60s and 70s rock climbers from Yosemite. So these guys were slightly crazy. They had names like Bear and Wolf.
The original dirtbags.
Yeah, the original dirtbags. And literally it was a big log cabin with a bunch of nasty mattresses stacked on the porch, and everybody just grab a mattress and go lay down in the woods somewhere. So I grew up with like the climbing culture, and then my dad's been he's a pilot. He's been a sailor for 30 years, scuba diver. My mom was scuba diving, rock climbing, and no, she wasn't rock climbing. But backpacking, and if it was backpacking, it wasn't backpacking on trails. It was always cross country. So the obsession with maps and going where you thought nobody would be started very young. I think that was probably the biggest thing. I knew how to read a topo map by the time I was 8, and I was very much into maps. And my dad was obsessed. When we would pack for a backpacking trip, we would pack our whole backpack, and then Dad would make us lay it all out on the floor in the living room, and he would go through and he's like, that's too many pairs of underwear. You only need one shirt. You don't need that jacket. And I'm like, what? And he'd go through and just
Boy, I'm not carrying your pack.
Yeah. And Yeah, my first backpacking trip was at 16 weeks, and he wore me on a backpack. And so I definitely had that ingrained in me at a young age, just kind of a love for the outdoors and appreciation for getting away from everybody as much as you can to enjoy that. And then growing up on the Central Coast in California is just incredible. Brandon's from the Central Coast too, and so we've kind of connected even more because we grew up in the same place and have a lot of the same friends, and it's an amazing, amazing place to grow up. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of California. So that's where that came from.
And it's real. I saw it 5-6 days in a row, just, head on a swivel, checking this, looking at that. I'm in the back seat sitting directly behind you because Starlink and our bags and everything else took up the seat next to me. And I just kept thinking to myself, does this guy see where he's going? How's he see where he's going? He's driving, but he's checking out that trail. But you can't stop. And I think that's something that, as a guide offering guiding services, it's legit. There's no stopping it.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody goes into the guiding business for the money. It's like making art or something like that. You only do it because you can't do anything else, or you can't stop doing it.
Whoa.
No, I mean, sorry.
You hearing this guy, Brandon?
And so let's talk.
Cook an egg.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. You've got some interesting stuff coming up. You've got a big turtleback trailer trip.
Yeah.
You've got some stuff coming up with Brandon. You guys, who wants to dive in and talk about what's coming up on the calendar? We're talking here in July.
I'll do the first one. You do the second. So the first, we do trips every month. So you can go into legendsoverlanding.com, and we've got trips up for every month of the year that we basically chase the weather. So my goal is definitely to convince the world that Baja is nice in the summer when everybody thinks it's Phoenix, Arizona. When it's not.
The Pacific side is great.
Yeah.
And the high elevation
Hundreds
sides
of
are
miles on the
great.
Pacific side won't get above 75, 80 degrees all summer long. And the mountains too. So you can get up to 8,000 feet and keep it at 75 even in the middle of summer. And when Death Valley hit 450 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, well, I mean, like
something crazy.
Arizona's had over 110 for 3 weeks or
when
something.
When you guys are sick of it, Baja's really nice in the summer. We've got trips all year. October 5th through the 9th, we partnered up with Turtleback, which we're super happy to see that they're back because it was paused, and they have new owners.
Turtleback trailers, folks.
Turtleback trailers, yeah. And so it's a trip just for Turtleback trailer owners, and they get a discount thanks to Turtleback to come on this trip. All our trips are only 6 spots, which means we can go further. We can get into smaller spaces. You're not spending your whole vacation waiting for people to air up. That's why we keep the trips small, the group small. It keeps it intimate. It's enough people to have a blast around the fire, but not so many people that's slowing us down too much. And so
boutique experience.
Yeah, very much. And so we're doing a whole Northern Baja loop with the Turtleback trailer guys. They're affectionately known as the herd of turtles. I don't know. I guess this is a thing. Is this before my time? The herd of turtles.
It's hard to herd turtles.
The what?
It's hard to herd turtles.
Yeah.
You can't
It's hard
herd
to herd cats either. Yeah.
That's what my dad
push
says.
strings. Yeah.
That's what my dad says.
So yeah, if you're in the tour guiding business, these comments are, we know. But we've got people coming for that in October, and then got another trip already. People booked in September, October, November. Some people are booked, and then December. I'll let you take it, Brandon. We're doing another awesome trip.
Yeah, so Nathan and I have been talking about, how we can explore further down the peninsula. And, the issue for people is timing, right? So not everybody can take the time that it needs to get their vehicle all the way down the peninsula.
These damn Americans who just can't get out of work.
Right. We've put together a new program. It's called El Camino Real. It's going to be December 26th through January 1st. So starts and ends in Laredo, and we're going to have all of the vehicles down there ready and waiting for people, and kind of explore that whole region, the beautiful beaches, the desert scenery, the old missions, all of those things, and obviously the same level of experience that Legends Overlanding usually provides with our vehicles, and kind of elevate it a little bit further, with some more activities and excursions and things like that. And we'll end on New Year's Eve back in Laredo, and we'll do a big New Year's Eve dinner party, overlooking the ocean and all of that. So that's the program that we put together. We're releasing it next week, and kind of teasing it next week, and we'll start slowly releasing information, and we'll go on sale here in a couple weeks. And very limited, 8 spots. Nathan wants 6. I'm pushing him for 8 because that's the only way to make it work financially.
True.
But yeah, it'll be a really cool event. I mean, we partner all the time, but this one we're really kind of both, promoting it together, marketing it together, and it's kind of a new brand for both of us. So,
Well, I saw a lot of it coming through when Nathan is working hard at 10 o'clock at night. He's got his Starlink up. We're trying to get some tacos in us, and he's approving text and copy and images and fixing stuff for this.
yeah,
this
but I've
new
already
launch.
changed now since he approved all that
Oh
stuff.
my gosh. And then when we released the Turtleback trip, I had all this. So Sarah is our amazing secretary. She helps us a ton. She's in Idaho, and if you're one of our customers, you've worked directly with Sarah a lot and gotten emails from her, and she's awesome and fixes our website and stuff. So I went on and broke all the website the night before we were releasing the herd trip, and so I was like on the phone with her somewhere in the world with the Starlink, letting her know like, I broke the website. I need you to help me. I know it's late. She got on and was gracious as usual. She's amazing. So thank you so much, Sarah. I wouldn't be able to do this without Sarah.
All right, Brandon, tell us, where's the best place to find out about TopoTerra?
TopoTerra.com.
TopoTerra.com. You're also on Instagram. I
Yep,
see you.
Yeah, Topo.
I see your
Terra.
beautiful images.
Thank you.
One more time.
Topo_Terra.
TOPO_.
TERRA.
Nathan, what's the best way for folks to follow you, find out about what's going on?
PayPal. So you just at Legends. No, just kidding.
Hey, let's stop right here for a second. So we just rolled 1,100 miles in your truck. And, we're not old buddies. We've known you since Overland, right? And I'm a pretty good judge of character. First of all, satellite radio. Like, okay, I don't have any music or anything.
Yeah.
The only sound I have in my Land Cruiser is the sound of wind making me deaf and the sound of my old 6-cylinder engine just, working its tail off, and the sound of me grinding gears, right? And so we've got satellite radio, and you've got Willie Nelson's channel, and it's a soundtrack of my youth. This is exactly what was in every pickup that my dad had, the old Ford, the Toyota, the Volkswagen camper, all these things, every iteration, however it was sold, that's 8-track, cassette, CD. That's soundtrack of my youth. So that was wonderful. But you've got a crazy enjoyment of classic American radio and classic American comedy. And we listen to a lot of it, and it's wonderful. And cornball, where did that come from?
Well, my grandpa raised me on that old country music, and as a young teenager, he was my serious wingman. It was like you go to the movie store to rent a movie, and he's like, "She's a cute one." I'm like, "Grandpa, don't say anything." And he's, but yeah, I just love my grandpa. He rode motorcycles till way after the doctor said he could, and died sitting on his motorcycle, living just the way he wanted to till the end. I got stuck on that country music, and then my dad was a big old movie buff, so Cary Grant and Bing Crosby and Bob Hope and all that stuff. So the classic radio on we're not doing a commercial for
Campbell's
satellite radio. Okay, if you have satellite radio and you're paying too much, just tell them you're going to stop paying, and they'll give you a huge discount. I'm just telling everybody out there.
That's how it works?
That's how it works. Just tell them you're quitting, and they'll be like, actually, you don't have to pay that much. We'll do it for $6.
It's $1.50 for 12 months.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, satellite radio. Willie Nelson's, what is it? Willie's Roadhouse is.
All right. So
epic.
we've got TopoTerra.com, TopoTerra on Instagram, TOPO_TERRA, and
legendsoverlanding.com, and same at Legends Overlanding on Instagram and Legends Overlanding on Facebook and all that stuff. So
people,
I think we're on Twitter too and YouTube.
Yeah, and just so people don't think that you're a pompous jerk with the Legends part, tell me about where the name came from.
Yeah, there's a
story behind it.
I've always been nervous about that title, Legends. Like, it came from the fact that Baja is such an incredibly rough and rugged piece of dirt. It just by default has made these incredible personalities. The people that make it and survive it and stay and live there, they're a different breed of people, and it breeds legends. And so being a young kid and going to Baja, it was just, you meet these people and you hear about these people and you hear these stories. It's just Baja's full of lullabies, legends, and lies, as Bobby Bear would say. And it fascinated me. I just loved the story element of Baja. It's always, I can't tell a story that's too ridiculous for you to not believe it when it comes to Baja. I could say that I just saw a truck with an elephant drive by, and it could have happened.
Or a truck fully loaded to go to the flea market with a wheel that just fell off it, which happened.
And the other one in the air, the passenger.
Yeah, the front tire in the air.
Yeah, so there's just always something you see and people you meet that are just legendary. And so Legends Overlanding was more an idea of just chasing legends in Baja, and the fact that I've got this whole hallmark cliche phrases we've been working on, made not born, and all this stuff. It's just the fact that Baja makes legends. And there's a lot of legends that have gone before us, and it's just been really fun to chase their stories and learn from them and be inspired by them in the way we travel and the way we experience Baja.
Well, it was truly inspirational, honestly, sincerely. Having you show me your Baja, you think you know something, but guides have guides. And so It was really great
and I got a bunch of guides.
Yeah,
too.
Really great to meet another one of your guides, Nathan, in Catavina, and we had a terrific week. Slow Baja approved for TopoTerra. If you need I've seen them, folks. They're stunning. It's astonishing that that's available to you. And the most beautiful brindle boxer right here, Kaya. TopoTerra, Slow Baja approved. Legends Overlanding, Slow Baja approved. Check them out. Put it together. Get a trip in. Make some memories of yourself. And guys, thanks for making a little time. Real pleasure to get to talk to you today.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. It was fun bouncing around for a week with you guys.
All right. We did it. Well, I hope you liked that one. First Slow Baja podcast with the dog hanging around. That was fun having Kaya there. Brandon and Nathan really have something special here. If you're thinking about getting into this overlanding thing before you go out and buy a rig or build a rig or what have you, check out one of Brandon's TopoTerra rigs. They really are amazing. And Nathan, as a guide, truly is worth every penny. So get some buddies, get your wife, get your girlfriend, get your wife and your girlfriend, and get on out in one of these beautiful campers and have Nathan show you his Slow Baja. All right, well, if you love what I'm doing here, and if you're still listening right now, I hope you do, and you've got some tacos still jingling around in your pocket, drop a couple in the tank. Doing this stuff on location really is a little bit more, takes a little bit more than just calling people on the phone and phoning it in, as they say. So if you do have some tacos in your pocket and you can afford to spare a few, I'd really appreciate it if you supported the show and dropped the taco in the tank. And if you don't have any tacos, I get it. I don't have any tacos most of the time either. So do me a favor, drop a 5-star review on Apple or on Spotify. That doesn't cost anything. Say something nice about Slow Baja. Tell people why you're listening to the show, and it really does help people find this show, which hopefully will help it grow and help me keep doing what I'm doing. T-shirts are on the way. We've got a replen of black T-shirts coming in. We've got all the new hats in, all the baseball hats. We've got a couple that aren't even on the website, so check that out. Instagram will be introducing the new hats. They'll be on the website soon. And if you want to jump on that last spot for the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition, as of this recording, there is one spot left. I'm not sure by the time you hear it if there's going to be one spot left, but if you've got something 1993 and older, or something that looks like a 1993, hit me up. I'd love to have you come with. Okay, well, we're at that point of the show where I tell you about Mary McGee's pal, Steve McQueen, and that is now Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee. That's right, she got inducted to the Hall of Fame. Mary McGee killed it at her induction speech. Hall of Famer Mary McGee, her pal Steve McQueen, he loved Baja, he loved the desert, and he said, Baja's life, anything that happens before or after is just waiting. You know, I'm a minimalist when it comes to Baja travel, but the one thing I don't leave home without is a good old paper map. My favorite is the beautiful, and I mean beautiful, Baja Road and Recreation Atlas by Benchmark Maps. It's an oversized 72-page book. It's jammed with details. It brings the peninsula's rugged terrain into clear focus. Get yours at benchmarkmaps.com. In fact, get two. One for your trip planning at home and one for your Baja rig. And while you're at benchmarkmaps.com, you got to check out all their other atlases. I think they're up to 17 now, including British Columbia. They've got folding maps. They've got digital maps. They've got giant wall maps. My favorite, and I've got it up on my wall right here at Slow Baja HQ, is the 30-inch by 46-inch Baja wall map. It's so great to just look at one thing, see the entire peninsula there. I love it. Benchmarkmaps.com, Slow Baja approved. Huge news out of Ensenada. Huge news, folks. Cerveceria Transpeninsular has Slow Baja on tap all summer long. That's right. I saw it for myself. Heck, I tasted it for myself. You got to get there. You got to check it out for yourself at Cerveceria Transpeninsular. It's right there next to the Hotel Corral and Marinas in the Playitas neighborhood. Get yourself a frosty cold Slow Baja on tap, but don't delay. It's for a limited time only this summer.